Welcome to Down to Earth Astrology and Primal Girl Wellness. I am Miss Jenny, and I'm your astrologer. So today, officially, the Ascension ceremony for King Charles has taken effect at 1:15 p.m. in Nairn, Scotland. Now, this chart, if we're using the time of the ceremony, is going to put 22 Scorpio rising on the chart with the sun at the midheaven, which is what we expect when we're talking about people rising up to positions of monarchs, as it were, like the ultimate top host in a situation, right? But here's, for those of you who are studying astrology, this is some interesting stuff to consider, right? So, when we do event charts, it's always a little tricky, right? Because it's like, when does something officially begin, right? So with a marriage, does the wedding chart officially begin when the ceremony starts, or does it begin when they finally say, I do, or when the priest or preacher, reverend says, the minister says, you're now married? Like, defining the moment something begins is challenging. And the same thing goes for businesses. Does the beginning of a business chart, right? The birth of a business, does that begin the moment you make an incorporation on paper? Is it when you open your doors to the public? Is it when you make your first sale? All of these things are tricky. And these are all modern, well, not all, these are mostly modern constructs. So we don't really have a lot of historical, or ancient astrology rules to refer to on this. So we're all kind of winging it here. And by the way, if you guys are interested in Harari astrology and things not to do and why, I'm going to be posting a series on that and sharing with some of my experiences about going against the rules of Harari, starting with this woman who was abducted in Tennessee. But more on that in a minute. Anyway, so here's the thing with King Charles, right? So on the one hand, technically he became king the moment Queen Elizabeth died, right? But it's not official until the ceremony on the 10th, right? So which chart do we use? Which one will tell the tale of his rulership, And this particular set of charts is very, very interesting for this reason. So at the time of Queen Elizabeth's deaths, she had, or the stars had the moon void, of course. Now, typically when something begins, which would have also been the beginning of his rule or reign as King Charles, with void of course moons, things typically don't go according to plan. Void of course moons are useful for some things, but when one of the things that we've seen repeated is that when it comes to things like this, people assuming roles of leadership or starting new projects, right? Big worldly things, things don't go according to plan. We know in the United States, somebody did a great blog post. I'll put a link down below if you want to read it, about all the presidents that we've had that have been elected or put into office during the official ceremony when the moon was void, of course. And many of them died in office, didn't finish their term. Now, understand that it was many, not all. So we've had more than a few recently that have gone in and taken office under a void of course moon, and they have not died in office. However, things definitely did not go according to plan. Barack Obama, one of his terms, he was officiated under the void of course moon, and nothing got done. Those Republicans literally did nothing for 364 days. It's literally in Google, like you can Google it. It was horrible. It was a horrible thing for the Senate to do. We pay these people to do their jobs. They did zero, not a zip, nothing, because of being spiteful children. And of course, they've gotten worse since then, but what are you going to do, right? Anyway, so that was Obama. And then, of course, there was, I think, Clinton during one of his terms. He was impeached, so he did not finish his term. Did not die, but didn't finish his term. And now, of course, we have Biden, who's also inaugurated under a void of course moon. Now, we still have a few months left in his term. So we will see how this plays out. I don't imagine, I'm not going to wish anybody dead. But things have not gone according to plan, but at the same time, not as dramatically as we expect with the void of course moon. So I'm curious to see how this plays out over the next couple of months for Biden. Ooh, President Kamala Harris. Eesh. Anyway, so King Charles was officially King Charles when the moon was void, of course. So this would suggest that his time or his reign as king will not go according to plan. Does not mean he's going to die in office, but it's definitely not going to go according to plan, because the void of course moon in these situations tends to be like a lame duck, right? It's there, but it's not really effective at getting anything done or being effective at its job. Now, we also know that since the queen has died, apparently everyone's coming out of the woodworks to say, that's it. Okay, she's gone. God bless the queen, rest in peace. Now it's time for us to separate from you. You damn colonizers. We want our country back, which is not a bad thing, right? I mean, here in the United States, Hawaii is a colony that we took by force. And apparently at one point, we even imprisoned the queen of Hawaii in her palace for over a year while we were literally taking over their country. And we've never given it back, right? So it wasn't like they capitulated and said, "Oh no, you can have us." No. We forcibly, and even by imprisoning the queen, took Hawaii and never gave her back. So other places that are like, nope, we want our status as a sovereign nation back for ourselves, where we are no longer your subjects because we didn't give ourselves to you, you took us. It's understandable, and of course they're all like, wow, like a wave coming out now, which I think says a lot about the respect for the queen, that it wasn't a bigger push before now, right? Because, I mean, say what you will about the colonizational sort of stuff. We all kind of liked Queen Elizabeth. But it's her son in charge now, and nobody has this kind of loyalty or sentiment towards him. So it will be interesting to see how noisy this gets. Now, and of course, what they're going to do about it. So that's the void of course moon, right? Well, that's interesting. So he's going to be a king in name only. Like, it's not going to get a lot done. Not going to finish. Well, you can't not finish your term as the king because you you didn't get elected in. You got it by birth. So it's when you die, that's when you finish your term. Okay, so now here's what's interesting, right? So for all of you who do astrology, here's the next thing though, right? So there is the official ceremony when he is pronounced king, right, and made proclaimed to be king, all sort of stuff, which is a separate day and time, and that's this 21 Scorpio chart for him. So can this chart or the two charts combined give us a picture of what's going to happen? So with the official Ascension chart, you almost want to think of this as his administration, right? Maybe. I see this is new. We don't know what to do with this. But I do know, I can tell you now by looking at this chart, with the Ascension chart, we've got some really interesting things going on. So on the one hand, the sun, which rules leadership and men, is on the midheaven, which is where we expect it to be when we're talking about a royal ascension. And it is trining Uranus and the part of fortune and the North Node on the 7th house cusp. Ooh, that's big. That's big. So on the one hand, things should go relatively smoothly. I'm not seeing a lot of attacks, and it's also trining Pluto. So I'm not seeing a lot of attacks on King Charles. However, there will definitely be challenges. But more important and more specifically, I think these are going to come literally out of left field, out of the blue, like lightning. Pew, pew, pew. Whoa, where did that come from? So there will be many important, striking, dramatic, and unexpected shifts in fortune and changes and, left turns and right turns and 180-degree turns during his time as king. So also, too, we have Mars in the 7th house and we have Uranus on that cusp. Uranus on that 7th house is given to separations. So typically people you have partnered with Uranus on the 7th, it's very difficult to maintain long-term connections because Uranus breaks things. Uranus and Mars are both severing planets, and Mars is in the 7th as well. And Mars is in Gemini, Uranus is in Taurus. So it is possible that with Uranus in Taurus, itching now, with Uranus in Taurus conjuncting the 7th house and with that part of fortune on the 7th house and the North Node, it is entirely possible that there will be a break away from his government, or the monarchy. We'll just call it the monarchy. There will be a break, a severance or a break from the monarchy, from people that they're partnered with, that they rely on, or have a heavy financial investment in. So I'm thinking this might be the colonized territories that they have, right? But certainly money and resources are going to be a big factor in this and be a huge challenge. Now, he will get through this, obviously, but for people who aren't expecting it, I would definitely look for the possibility that some colonies or territories that were under British rule forever, may finally all together now take a stand and just walk, just leave. So that would be interesting to watch. The other thing is this: with a Sun, Uranus, Pluto trine like this from the 1st, the 7th, and the 2nd, this does not mean bad things, because this actually looks like it's going to be beneficial and financially lucrative, right? Financially beneficial to the monarchy, or the UK, when these things happen. So sudden changes of fortune, but all ultimately towards a much better, more progressive, innovative, much more well-functioning form of partnership with other people that will last multiple generations. So whatever happens, understand that according to this, these are changes that are going to happen whether you want them to or not, but they will ultimately lead to even better outcomes for future generations. So the UK will not go broke if they lose a territory. So now also too, Mars, which is Charles's ruler, is in that 7th house. In Gemini. So my best guess, because Pluto's also the ruler too, but we'll get to that. My best guess is that with Mars and Gemini in 7th house, and it's squaring the Sun, which also rules him, he's going to find himself under fire or under attack or very heavily criticized frequently and often for things that he has said. Now, I've heard on the news that he's had a history of saying things that, having opinions, how dare you, that were not popular, and he's been called to the carpet on these things. But in this particular case, now that he's king, also this changes things immensely. He is definitely going to be the subject of much more scrutiny and criticism, a lot of heavy criticism about opinions and statements and words, which he may not actually feel the compulsion to control. That will be interesting. So you would think he would know better, and he, would know when to shut his mouth. Like, anybody who's in the public eye that's under fire, right? Just shut up long enough for them to forget why they're mad at you. Megan. But in this particular case, I think that he is going to be very, or not very, but more free with his thoughts and opinions than he probably should be or would be advised to be, because it's certainly going to cause problems, definitely some problems. And unfortunately, that may be what he's known for. The other thing is that I'm thinking, let me see, 19, where are we? September, October, November, December, January, February. Right, February. So February, there should be some major changes in the household. And certainly some major changes within the family. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. I remember looking at the solar return for Queen Elizabeth, and mind you, I don't predict death or time death. Like, I don't give people, when they're going to die. You can certainly see the potential for someone passing away in other people's charts around that person, but I'm not in the business of telling people that you're going to die, Saturday, December 8th, 2030. That's no, just anyway. But I do remember, and so I do remember looking at her solar return, and February was a big month for her. So something in conjunction with her and the monarchy should be a high point of focus come February. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. And also, too, in case you're wondering, yes, your chart does live on. There have been instances of very famous people. I think Einstein was one of them, or some more obscure scientists that nobody thinks about. And then, out of nowhere, suddenly everybody's talking about them. And if you look at the transits above to their birth chart from way back when, you'll see that their chart is being activated. So your chart will live on even if you're not physically here. So it's entirely possible that Queen Elizabeth is going to become very prominent because her chart lives on, right? In February, when the Ascension ceremony chart is kicking off. I'm curious to see what that's about. All right. Now, in other things, as far as the finances of the monarchy, it's tight. It's a little tight. So because we've got Mercury and Jupiter involving the houses, the financial houses. So there's some financial strain on the monarchy effective now. And also there's going to be a lot of reorganization. Mercury and Venus are in mutual reception. So there is a way out and around whatever financial issues they find themselves facing. But at this particular point in time, with that Mercury-Jupiter opposition from the 10th and the 4th, this is going to have to do with real estate holdings. So again, it is entirely possible that they may lose territories, and that may have a financial impact on them. I don't know how that works. Maybe you know better. But long-term stuff, if you can just get through the squeezing part, the long-term benefits are there. So there's a huge change afoot that will be for much greater benefit. But man, got to get through the squeaky parts first, and that won't be easy. That will not be easy. And that's it. So, oh, right. Well, the other thing too. Yeah, I just November also, and November came up. See, this is so weird, right? So November is a big month for the monarchy under King Charles, and also November. I distinctly remember November being very important to Queen Elizabeth, who's no longer with us, because it shows up in her solar return. So it will be, and also Harry. I think it was Harry. Harry's chart gets really heavily activated around November as well. So it will keep an eye on November for the monarchy, for Harry and Queen Elizabeth, and also again come, what did we say? October, November, December, January, February, and also February of next year for the monarchy and Queen Elizabeth to become very prominent and notable at that time. So it will be interesting. It will be interesting, and also too, if I remember correctly, I think that's Coxa and Chiron. So one of the things that may be interesting, like you'd never expect this coming from Charles, right? There may be a sense of prophecy with Charles. So he may be seeing things and having flashes of insight and visions into the future that are certainly, supernatural, or maybe it's getting a visitation from his mom. But he's having insight into the future that is well beyond what we can see from our material physical world. And that will factor very heavily, I would imagine, into the decisions he makes. So if he starts making inexplicable decisions, like people are like, where did that come from? It may be that our prince, our King Charles, is having flashes of insight or vision, clairvoyant vision, literally prophesying. He's having prophesying visions or dreams, or his mother's coming and talking to him, and warning him about something, or giving him guidance, because there's a bigger picture beyond the immediate that we can see, right? But until you get there, it just looks like the person's crazy, because how can you tell, right? So that's what I've got right now. This is literally, I just now 2 seconds ago pulled this chart up, and this is what I have. So I'm going to go take care of some stuff, and we'll get into the charts a little bit more with some other stuff later, because I know you guys are like wall to wall King Charles coverage, so I don't want to add too much to it, and this is plenty. So those are your months. Those are your hot spots, November and February for the monarchy. And again, with King Charles, he succeeded or ascended to the throne. He became King Charles under a void of course moon, which technically means it's a lame duck sort of situation. Not very effective. Things are not necessarily going to get done the way things do not go the way you expect them to in the material world. So there's that. Now, the other thing, speaking of this clairvoyance prophecy, and then I'm looking at it here, also, I just want to point out that interestingly, under the void of course moon, it often correlates with psychic ability or visions, or being able to see the transpersonal nature of reality, being able to see things other people don't see. People born with void of course moons are often, other people say they're a little weird, but it's mostly because the void of course moon is picking up stuff other people are not picking up. Like their radar's off the hook sensitive. And honestly, most time they feel like they're crazy because nobody else sees it, so they can't validate it, right? And people who do recognize that they're picking up on something nobody else knew about typically don't want you to know that. So, they're trying to hide their stuff and making you think you're crazy. So if you have a void of course moon, you're not crazy. Well, I mean, you might be crazy, but I'm just saying, mostly you're probably not. And the stuff that you're picking up, like you're really picking up, it's not your imagination. So all those weird vibes, your spidey sense tingling, and people not feeling right around you. Honey, if you've got a void of course moon and you've got a bad feeling about something, or you're having some kind of weird feeling that's not yours, right? Like I'll give you an example, because I have a void of course moon. There is this one woman that I don't see very often, but occasionally I'll run into her in a coffee shop. And literally every time I sit down to have coffee with her, because, you're there, right? Like my brain sounds like a shortwave radio being scrambled. So like I literally can't think. My head is all over the place like a pinball machine. It's insane, right? Like little rats on crack. And the minute she goes away, or I go away, the minute we separate, I can think again. I can think clearly again, like, oh, okay, right? Like literally, like you've had too much coffee can kind of thing. And the first couple times it happened, I thought it was me, right? Like maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just really stressed or something. But this time I haven't seen her in months, and I've been fine. And I know how I've been thinking and feeling. And then the minute I sat down with her in 5 minutes, my brain racing like a squirrel. I couldn't keep a clear thought in my head. So I'm like literally static, shortwave radio static in my head. It was insane. And then the minute we separated, everything was fine again. That is also what you get with a void of course moon, because you'll pick up stuff or feel things like literally like you're transparent, right? That's not your stuff, but you don't know where it's coming from. So if you're having these moments, it is you, darling, but it's not because you're crazy. It's because your radar's so off the hook sensitive that you're literally picking up other people's stuff. So be aware of that. Be aware of that so you can manage it better. So there you go. All right. So if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, share. I'd appreciate it. Support the channel. I will be back with another short video. We're going to start talking about Harari charts and experiences with Hararis when they work well and when they work bad. And Harari charts are very special kind of charts. They're not basic astrology. They're very black, white, yes, no, right or wrong. There's no goose in a chart with a Harari, because you use it to find lost objects, missing people, this sort of like very, very specific things that can be qualified, right? So unlike a natal chart where you can basically feed somebody's ego, and brush their vanity and they're fine, you can make a chart fit, like the woman I used to know about her Capricorn son. Oh, well, he's a Capricorn. You know how they are. Oh, okay. Harari's not like that. Harari is very, very specific and exact. And you literally, it's pass fail, right? You either got it right or you got it wrong, and there's no stretching things to make them fit. If you're doing a Harari to find a missing object, it's either exactly where you said it was or it's not. There's no way to fudge that to make it work. I love Harari for that reason. But because of that, it's also incredibly difficult to learn. Oh my God, so difficult. And it's even harder to master. So I'm working on it. I don't have a teacher. I'm teaching myself. And I'm very happy to say that I've had successes. I've had multiple successes locating things with the Harari chart and some really funny stories that go with it. And I've had some not so good experiences. But the not so good experiences are the ones we're going to talk about, because it's from our mistakes that we learn things. So I've learned from personal experience how some of these rules against reading the chart, because you're not going to get an accurate answer, how they've actually played out. So it will be an interesting discussion. So if you're interested in that, stick around, because that video will be coming up next. Talk to you later. Bye. Hey, okay, it's just a little footnote. So a couple of things I was thinking about it, right? And honestly, I'm doing these charts like literally off the cuff, on the fly. Like I literally only looked at it 2 seconds before I started the video, because I just, there's so much going on and I don't have enough time to sit and spend 4 hours researching the chart before I do the video. So anyway, that's my excuse for myself. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to say is, because the monarchy and the parliament and UK, like this is a very different government than we have here in the United States, and I'm not complete. And even parliament is a modern construct, so I'm not completely sure how to see this in the chart, like which house or rulers get assigned to this. So I'm thinking, and if you live in the UK, you'll know better than I do, right? Or you know something about this. The monarchy and the parliament also form a partnership, right? So those big abrupt changes and separations and cleaving and like woo-wee, just things going on that involve partnerships, right? And some major changes to partnerships could theoretically, if parliament and the monarchy are also a partnership, could also involve their respective roles with each other. So it may not be the colonized territories. It could also be parliament, or it could also include parliament, or maybe even with the allies. Although I don't think that's an issue. Boy, if Boris Johnson thought he was doing something with Brexit, sorry, by making the UK its own little economic island, whoa, he's got nothing on this. Because there are some serious breaks and changes happening. So there's that. The second thing I just want to say, And I hate saying this because, again, and I'm going to say it again and again and again, I do not promote or advocate medical astrology. And there are a number of ethical reasons why I say that. And I stand by that. And if you have a medical issue, do not go to an astrologer. For the love of God, go to an actual physician. These people spent half their lives in school learning more than your astrologer will ever know about the human body and pathology. Trust them. Okay, and if you don't like your doctor, go to a different doctor, but go to somebody who's actually educated and trained and knowledgeable and able to answer these questions like reasonably. Anyway, so with that said, I will say, and I saw this in a different chart, and I'm going to say it again because I'm seeing in this Ascension chart as well. Charles will have some health issues, which, given his age, is not unexpected, right? I mean, that's a lot of mileage on a body, 70 some years. But he will have some health issues that will be figure very, very prominently and very immediately during his rulership as king. And also, I still say there is the very distinct possibility that he's going to have a stroke. I could be wrong, but I think he's going to have a stroke. And also, it's that and or something with I think it's the left eye or the left side of the brain, right? Maybe, but I'm only putting it out here because I need it documented on video, right? In case this does come to pass, I can go back and look at the chart to see how that played out and how what gave that impression. But don't go crazy with it. Don't go crazy with it. I'm just saying it's a possibility. So of all the things that are possible, it won't be an assassination. It might be a stroke. So there's that. Okay. Back to the wonderland that is YouTube. Like, subscribe, share. Talk to you guys later.